Egyptian President Abdel Fatah Sisi is set to visit the White House later this Monday, the first Egyptian leader to do so since the country's revolution in 2011. Donald Trump has already held talks with Sisi once on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in 2016. For more on what's at stake in this meeting, here's our U.S. correspondent Lorna Shaddick.
For Donald Trump, this meeting is really a chance to try and tout his credentials with the Arab world after those rather controversial attempts to ban entry to the US for people from certain Muslim-majority countries. Egypt wasn't one of those countries, but nonetheless, the White House will really be hoping that having the heads of the Arab world's most populous nation visit will help change perceptions somewhat. And it'll be a big change of direction as well from Mr. Trump's predecessor, Barack Obama, because his administration reduced the amount of aid that it sent to Cairo shortly after President al-Sisi took power. And it also prevented the sale of some larger military items like fighter jets as well to the new government. And it repeated its demands for Egypt to stop holding mass trials and jailing political opponents. But Donald Trump, on the other hand, used his first meeting with President al-Sisi in New York last year, before the presidential election, in fact, to express a strong support for Egypt and for its war on terrorism, as he put it. And the US leader hasn't actually mentioned Egypt's human rights record in public yet. The White House says it actually now prefers to handle those kinds of issues in a more private and discreet way. So President al-Sisi will be hoping that the change of administration here in the US might also change how Egypt is viewed here. And he's also very likely to push for an increase, once again, to that military aid. He says that's really needed to help with counter-terror operations against militants from the so-called Islamic State group in the Sinai Peninsula. Now, as well as meeting Donald Trump, he's also going to be meeting top officials at the World Bank and the IMF, because Egypt has been negotiating more help for its rather troubled economy since the recent political upheaval. Lorna Shaddick, CGTN, New York.
And we can now cross over to CGTN's Yasser Hakim. He's live for us in Cairo. Yasser, Cairo's international airport was in the list of those slapped with restrictions on electronic devices for flights destined to the United States by the Trump administration. Now, is the Egyptian president likely to lobby President Trump, though, to reverse this policy during their meeting today?
Well, it's not been said clearly if this topic will be discussed, but overall they will be discussing the security measures in the region and how to fight off terror. Obviously, Egypt has been going through an overhaul of security measures in the airports for the last year and a half. It's been purchasing new equipment, highly sophisticated equipment, to be placed in the airports, in all the changes in the procedures for checkpoints and everything inside the airports, to ensure that there will be no infiltration of any kind of equipment that could cause damage to any flights. So I expect this will be discussed, the new security measures at airports in Egypt. But this will be in the context of working together, the two countries, in the fight against terrorism, not just in Egypt, but in the region and the world. They will be working on how to maintain logistical and intelligence support, the U.S. military aid, and also, which is around $1.5 billion per year, and also the purchase of newly sophisticated equipment that the Obama administration has been reluctant to provide to Egypt in the last couple of years. And Egypt will now request that Trump would go ahead with these purchases and the deliveries.
Well, yes, the U.S. has traditionally been a key ally of Egypt and a major provider of support for its military. But those recent political developments in Egypt and the Middle East have spawned ideological differences between these two countries. How is this likely, though, to impact the discussions between President el-Sisi and Trump?
Yes, both countries did not see eye to eye on many issues during the Obama administration. The Obama administration did not really give much importance or attention to the change in leadership after the 2013 revolution and the ouster of the former President Mohamed Morsi, the ousted President Mohamed Morsi, and therefore the Trump administration has taken a new line, and this is going to be made use of by Egypt. They'll try to forge their differences, try to patch the damaged relationship, not just in issues like Egypt, but also in Syria, in Libya. They both have U.S. and Egypt have different stance in those two conflicts, and this will be discussed in the meetings, and we'll try to find a common ground in order to improve their relationship politically and obviously economically as well. There will be a lot of discussions on how to promote investment between both countries, how to balance trade, which is in favor of the United States at the moment, with $7 billion exports, bilateral trade, 5 billion of them are U.S. exports to Egypt, as well as the investment and export of Egyptian goods to the U.S. So this is going to be considered a landmark visit, because for the last 6 years there hasn't been an Egyptian president visiting U.S. and during this time the relationship has been sour, and they hope that today's meetings in Washington would change the perspective and build on a new relationship that would help the benefit, will bring benefit to both sides in the very heated Middle East.
Right, Yasser Hakim for us there in Cairo.